Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your Friday is going fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today we're going to create a couple of birthday cards with some Spellbinders Club kits for the month of April 2022. We're going to be using the Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club kit. This is the Happy Moments. And the nice thing about this club kit is this is a clear stamp set with the coordinating dies, but Spellbinders does have a club with just the stamp set. So if you have a scanning cut or like the fussy cut, there's an option, and I'll link it down below. But we're going to be using this for our project, and then we're also going to be using the Embossing Folder of the Month Club kit. This is the Radiant Burst embossing folder, and it is so pretty. I'm going to kind of tilt it. So it's nice because there is a circle in the middle that creates a great focal point with all of these beams that head towards it. And I think it's going to go perfect with our birthday card today. So we're going to be using both of these. I'm going to use the embossing folder and for both of my projects, and then the stamp set also for both of my projects today. Kind of combine them both. So let's jump in and do a little bit of stamping. And the nice thing about the die set this month is it'll cut out most all the sentiments. Not the block, just the maybe the scripty and the larger ones. But I'm going to start by stamping our presents, which I'm super excited about. They're like barrel presents. I'm going to bring in my stamping positioner, and I'm using, you can see, lots of Bristol Smooth. I wanted to use my Zig markers today, and so Bristol Smooth cardstock works really well with that. I always remove my magnet and tape down my panels to my MISTI. And since we're going to be doing multiples, this is a great stamping positioner for that. So I'm going to place my birthday gifts down on the bottom, and then we're going to end up flipping our panel around. So you want to make sure it's pretty close to the bottom. Now there are bows that go with it, so I'll take those as well. Treating my paper with my anti-static powder tool. And then we're going to ink up our presents with the Spellbinders Clear embossing. I'm so used to my VersaFine or my Versamark ink. I haven't really gave my Spellbinders Watermark ink pad a chance. So I'm going to try and use this a little more often. Press down really good. And once I'm happy, I'm going to go over my image with clear or silver embossing powder. I usually make bright, kind of feminine colored cards today. So I thought we would switch it up and go for some more neutral tones that would be great for anybody. Okay, I'm going to funnel this back. And then I'll use my heat gun and we'll melt this embossing powder. And it embossed beautifully. See that silver shimmer? I'm going to flip my panel around and we are going to repeat the process. Now I'm going to do this process 5 times in total. I wanted to create a background filled with presents. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp once more. Press down really good. And again, go over it with my silver 5 more times. For my last panel, I did 4 already, but for my last panel, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment while I'm at it, since we have room. I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday. And then I'm going to stamp May your date be filled with enough smiles to last the whole year. The color of the Zig markers that we're going to use today are light green. And this is Persian blue. And then our yellow is just yellow. And I'll list them up there for you guys. But I'm going to play a little bit of music while I color, and then when I'm done coloring, we'll do a little bit of die cutting. I do want to let you know that I'm going to be using my Spectrum Noir Sparkle Pen to kind of create a fade out with these colors. So what that means is I'm going to go intense on the bottom, and then I'll use my sparkle pen to kind of fade out. And then the ribbons on my presents, I'm just going to leave white. So when I'm all done coloring, I will get you back. Coloring is all done. Now I went ahead and skipped through, since these three are basically all the same. I just did 3 presents with the 3 colors of Zig markers. Now there's some sparkle in there. I don't know if you can tell, but I love the way this turned out. Now I didn't color in the bows or the bows on the presents. I'm going to be adding some sparkle to those areas, so I didn't think it was necessary to color those in. Now I'm going to go ahead and die cut out my presents. Okay, I'm just finishing up my die cutting. And I did die cut out my happy birthday sentiment, you can see here. And I'm going to go ahead and trim down and block off my second sentiment. Good deal. Now I left the top a little bit higher than the bottom, but I did that because we're going to put a die cut on top. Now all of our presents, 4 of the same, are done, and then for this one that I only colored in 3 of, I fussy cut all the way to my silver embossed area. Now we're going to go ahead and add the bows to all of our presents using some small foam squares. Nice thing about this is you can add the bows anywhere you like. And we'll finish off our last present with 3 bows in total. Now, if you wanted to do a little layering and create a mini slimline, that's the best thing. You could put two together and add one in between and just make a fun slimline. But for my project today, before we continue on, I want to take another piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm going to use my zig marker on it. And I'm going to add my colors, kind of in the order that they would blend together. I think that looks good. And then I'll use my sparkle pen and run them all together, kind of creating a nice fade, except for when I get to my green, I don't want it to be too intense. Lovely. I want to add a little more blue. Good deal. I think that's really nice. Now, I'm doing this because I'm going to be using one of my Smile. This is Always Smile. This is a Fun Stamper's Journey die. And we'll just die cut out the word smile. I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I need to dry my panel. I don't know if you can see that shine, but it's so pretty. So I'll take my Smile and put it on my panel. I want to make sure that I get all three colors. And I'll run this through my die cutting machine. Okay, now for my background, for my first background, I did take my Smile and put some foam adhesive behind it, but I saturated it pretty good with my sparkle pen, so I'll let that dry. In the meantime, we are going to take some Distress Oxide inks. I have 3 different colors. I have Mustard Seed, Salty Ocean, and Mowed Lawn. They're pretty close to the zig markers, and I want to create an ink blended background. And since our embossing folder kind of has those rays going all around, that's why I want to continue with the color. So we will start with a yellow in the center. And for some reason, my Mustard Seed Always is so thick. But that's okay. I'm going to take my mustard seed, start in the middle, and we'll add some color. So we have our yellow, which is mustard seed. Next, I'll take my Mowed Lawn, and I'm going to go around my mustard seed. Okay, and then we're going to take our last color, which is our blue, and this is Salty Ocean. I'm going to basically go around the edges with this, and I need my blending mat for that. I don't want to make a mess here. This is going to go around all the edges. Okay, add some water with our water bottle. Oxidize some of that ink, and then I'll take a towel and just pick up that leftover splatter. We will go ahead and let that dry. While this is drying, we'll set this aside, and I'm going to go ahead and take my embossing folder, and with this embossing folder I am going to emboss a panel that measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And I'm going to put this right in the center of my Radiant Burst. Okay, so I went ahead and embossed my smaller panel with white cardstock and making sure that the burst starts in the middle. Now with my embossed panel, we're going to do the same thing. But this time I want my the circle burst to be a little bit more towards the top. Okay, now I have embossed this panel, and I just love the way that looks. We could really see that, huh? kind of different. I'm happy with this. Okay, first card, we'll take our white panel. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card base. And for this, I'll just use my tape runner. This is going to go on a standard A2 size card base. And again, I'm just, oh, actually, you know what? Let's pop this up with some foam adhesive. So I have a piece of black foam adhesive. We're going to use this. And then add this to our card base. So we have a little dimension. Okay, now we're going to take our 4 presents, and my idea was to create a background filled with presents. Then we'll add our last present, just filling it in. And it actually, guys, fits kind of like a glove. I don't know if you can see that. But I'm loving the way that looks. Now for this card, I do want to use Happy Birthday. Okay, I went ahead and die cut a rectangle with vellum. Now this has rounded corners, and this is going to be a nice home for my sentiment. I think I better use some smaller foam squares here. I think that's going to work out good. I'm going to add, just using my tape runner, I'm going to add some adhesive behind my vellum, and then we're going to place this right in the middle so you can still see the bows behind there. And then that will finish off our first project. You'd be kind of amazed what a whole bunch of presents will do for a card. Love the way that looks. Okay, now for my second project, we're going to take this background, and I'm going to add some adhesive behind here. And this is going to go, I'm going to add a lot of adhesive because I did saturate it with quite a bit of water. I'm going to take my emboss panel, kind of looks tie-dye almost. I'm going to add that to my card base, making sure it's centered, and I have a little bit of a white border. Okay, now we have our presents and our smile with our sentiment. I'm going to add my smile just above my sentiment here. And then I'll flip this around, and I'm going to add some foam squares behind my sentiment and my present. The dot of my eye was kind of getting lost in the yellow, so I fixed it with my markers here. Okay, now we have 2 fun cards, but I do want to add some extra sparkle. So to do that, I don't want to add too much. I do want to add some white blizzard. And I'm going to go over I'm just going to go over the entire bow. Just makes it easy. This is a very nice iridescent glitter, and then I'll go down the present, making some straight lines. Well, if you can call them straight. I don't have very much of a steady hand, but let's do the same to these. We're just going to add some sparkle, and then that will finish off my projects for today for Spellbinders with the Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club Kit, and also the Embossing Folder of the Month Club Kit. I hope this gives you some ideas on how to use the stamp set. Don't be afraid to fill your background. I think it creates a really fun background for a card. And then fussy cutting is great too for layering if you want to. But have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining me. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.